All right. Hello and welcome to a special edition of Video Games to the Max, where we are talking everything that involves the Video Game Awards 2021 that just officially ended about an hour or so ago. Because they didn't technically end right at 11 p.m. Eastern. They ended, I think, like 11:15 or whatnot. But yes, so here with me to talk about that is Mr. Marc Morrison.
Howdy.
Of course, I'm your host Sean Garmer here and this is just a special edition of the show. You can listen to our episode 296 that had Randy on it. And we talked about like our games that almost maybe don't make our top 10 right now, but who knows when we get to that if they end up making it or they just don't make it at all. And of course, the our first thoughts on the Halo Infinite campaign, which I think I played another level of that today, and some other, a bunch of other games we've been playing, and some other news and all that. But this is all about the Game Awards. If you want to go check that out, you can subscribe either here on YouTube or it's there. The video is there. If you want a shorter, more edited version, you can listen to it podcast wise on everywhere there are podcasts. Um, so there's that option for you as well. This, of course, will also be a podcast if you're not watching live right now. So, Game Awards. It was the full 3 hours and I guess you'd say 45 minutes that was promised by Jeff Keighley before we started. I guess in general, before we talk about going through a lot of the stuff that happened and didn't happen or whatever, what did you think of the show in general?
Entirely too long, and the comedy is atrocious.
I mean, I don't expect the comedy to be anything that I'm writing, making a big deal about for
Like,
the Game Awards. But
I mean, here's the thing: is like they're trying to draw the analogy to like this is gaming's Emmys or gaming's Academy Awards, and
right.
it's like, okay, if you want to draw that analogy, they don't show 30 trailers during the Academy Awards.
No, they don't. But this is why it's not the Academy Awards, because you don't have like 100 years or whatever it is, 50 years of history to
Oh,
not have to show that.
okay,
So,
but even I
right.
assume even at the 8th Academy Awards, it didn't show trailers.
Right, but I think the thing is like I saw someone talking about it. It's the trailers are there to get people's attention.
They don't need to
Which
be. The awards should do that on and of themselves.
I don't mind trailers. I think it just becomes too much when there's like 40 trailers. Then there's ads that have nothing to do with the games that were shown in the trailers. Some of them do, and then you have
Keeley,
awards that get written off
yeah,
because you
Keeley
have to.
belts out like 4 awards in quick succession, and within 3 minutes, and then a half hour more trailers and other crap that you don't care about.
Right. No. And I think that's the thing we've harped on every single year that Keeley's done this. It's not anything new. Everybody that cares anything about gaming in general will always probably say that, and I don't blame them in a way. I think that that's a problem, and I did tweet this out that I really do think that perhaps we need to think about either you make the pre-show longer and you make the full show shorter, and the pre-show is all of your trailers, and it's bam, 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 trailer, 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 and then you have your award show. That's 2 hours, and you have a 3 hour thing, and you get the best of both worlds, or you do it as a 2 night thing where it's the awards, and then kind of like WWE's Hall of Fame thing, or the NFL honors where they do the NFL honors, their awards the night before, and then they do the Super Bowl the next night, or WWE does their Hall of Fame, and then they do WrestleMania the next night. So you have, if you want to say that the trailers are what people come to the table for, you can always do the trailers as like some another opening night live thing, as if you call it the ending night live or whatever, as the second day, and you get people to watch the award show for just the awards.
I mean, They're not
You know,
why I come to watch this thing, even though I'm forced to by you.
hey, I mean, I'm not forcing you. You didn't have to watch this, right?
But
You're just
I
not.
just mean like, yeah, this thing should have been an hour and a half of most of the awards. Like, I don't care about the esports crap or
Right.
content creator of the year, but like some of these people like had like 30 seconds to talk and that was about it, which is fine because most of those people couldn't talk well.
Yeah, no, I mean, most of those people are not used to talking in a public live setting like that. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
they're used to talking to their peers
they
and
need
all
to
that.
draw straws and go, which one on this team can actually do public speaking, and then shove him out.
Yeah, I mean, unless you're talking about like Neil Druckmann that we saw at the end, or somebody that's like super recognizable like Kojima, or most people don't know who these developers are. So
Yeah, most. I
it
mean, yeah,
it wouldn't really matter which one of them actually stands up there and talks. Like you're saying, it's more about making sure that the person that does talk is someone that can, do that or whatever. But I think I don't know. I understand that he has to have ads in order to pay for the show.
I don't mind
And
ads, but it's like the thing for this thing is not the draw is not like the trailers, and
right.
I mean, let me ask you this: did you mute? I mean, you were doing work, I guess, so you probably did it more. But how much of this thing did you have muted?
I actually got lucky that I was doing the second job where I'm dispatching and I'm not taking calls. So I only have to have it on mute when I actually have to call someone for call a
Yeah,
doctor and tell them, hey, you have a patient that called you or whatever. A lot of times the dispatches are sent by text or whatever. So I did get to watch a lot of it voiced. Which is, if I had to take calls the whole night, I would have had to have the whole thing on mute.
see, for
But
me, like I
yeah.
had like at least half of it on mute, just because I found it so like cringeworthy,
Mhm.
like the Deborah Wilson thing. It's like, oh my god, why are we doing this?
Yeah. So
Or the
let's get into like
or
the
the sex barrel that Jeff Keighley brought out. It's like, I don't need to see your fleshlight here, dude. Come on.
yeah, he did a lot. There's a lot of weird things on this, but let's discuss, I guess, what actually, got shown here on the whole thing. Um Weirdly, he came out and started with not to like skip the pre-show, but just to get this out of the way.
I didn't watch any of the pre-show except for like the last like 2 minutes.
Okay, so you didn't watch any of the pre-show. So the pre-show, oh man, I took like 4 pages of notes here. Well, you did miss the Tunic trailer, which that was cool to see. That was the first trailer. It comes out March 16th, 2022. You missed the Games for Impact, which Life is Strange won. I was excited for that. I think they showed a trailer for Homeworld 3, which has a Q4 of next year release date. Telltale is back to doing stuff again.
I saw
Aside from
that one.
Wolf,
Or
yeah,
I was extremely surprised by both Telltale things they announced this tonight.
yeah. Well, I mean, we know they're doing Wolf Among Us too, but we didn't know they were. I mean, this is weird, right? Because like this is what got them in trouble
Yeah, it's
the
like
first time.
they're
They had
doubling
too many
down
projects.
and like
Yeah.
unlicensed stuff that very few people care about. I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I would say, I mean, Star Trek is not very few people. Star Trek has a huge following.
not
Uh,
anymore.
well, not anymore, but it still has
Yeah,
the
yeah.
cachet, the name. Like I get what they're going for there, but we haven't heard anything about the Wolf Among Us since last year's Game Awards, right?
Yeah.
So, or Wolf
Yep.
Among Us 2. So
Well, they
you
announced
have
what the
that.
Expanse.
Yeah, they're doing the Expanse and they're doing the Star Trek Resurgence. So that's 3 games you're doing now. And again, that's what got you in trouble the first time, was you had too many games going on at once, and people started getting burned out because you're doing the same thing with every single game. It's just, different licenses and all that. And then certain licenses, they won certain things. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the thinking is there. Maybe they had different teams this time, and that's not sort of the same people working on all three games or whatnot. But we'll see. We weird that we did not see anything about Wolf Among Us 2, so maybe that COVID perhaps delayed that or something.
I can buy a Star Trek game.
Mm.
I mean, that does have a more or a bigger following,
Right?
But an Expanse game that the show literally just got canceled or finished, and I mean, it's a fine show, but it doesn't have like a great following. It's just, like super weird.
Yeah, it's really weird. Like, it's weird that like you're gonna pick up, unless the game is gonna be some kind of continuation of the show, but I don't think so.
Well, it has the main character is in the show, and I think she is voicing like her character.
Yeah, that's the person that they had show up in the
the Kara G.
Right.
And she's an interesting character in the show, but it's just like such a weird. It's like that Jurassic Park game they made 15 years ago, and it's like, oh, this is the story of the whipped cream can or the shaving cream can. It's like, who cares?
Right. So I mean, any other just to note, they did show a Babylon's Fall trailer as well. That's coming out March 3rd. It's going to have an open beta if you pre-order the Ultimate Edition or whatever. And then they got to show off the Annapurna Out of Loop game, which is if you watch that Annapurna Presents thing that they did, that was the game that they showed off that had like, they wanted to have skateboarding and cooking and all that other stuff. They showed off this game, and it's almost like a reverse Scott Pilgrim. It's a woman that has various both female and male significant others, and they're all mad at her, and she's trying to combat them. And then they had a Evil Wild Hog game that got announced, and then a Grim Reaper game, which is called Have a Nice Death, which was like the last one they showed. Yeah. So Keighley opens the show. He did note this yesterday. I saw it on Twitter, and I saw it in Reddit as well. I think he'd done an AMA, and he said that he was he got the thing about people being upset, the fact that he wasn't gonna mention the Activision Blizzard thing on the show, and so he said that he wanted to make it right and actually do mention something.
I mean, he kind of pussyfooted around.
Yes, he didn't mention any studio by name. He just in general said, "Oh, we stand with the developers and workers," and then, "Oh, this show is all about the creators." And I'm sorry, but that entire show just proved that it was not about the creators, because the creators and their games that they spent time making this year did not take up the most time.
Yeah.
So, and then also the fact that you didn't take the time to name anyone, and then your first big trailer is a huge trailer, but
was that the Hellblade 2 one?
No, not Hellblade 2. That was the Quantic Dream, which is terrible. It's like, how like not paying attention are you that you go from denouncing harassment to then the first trailer you show is a studio that literally tried to pay off journalists so they wouldn't report on the harassment that they were doing at their studio.
Yeah.
I mean, like, come on, Jeff Keighley. You cannot be that tone deaf.
Yeah, you can.
I don't know. It's just it's a bad look. Like, did you not think about? You do rehearsals. You literally posted you do rehearsals. Did you not think about that when you did it? Like, I don't know. This is weird. I forgot to mention. Forza Horizon 5 did win Best Audio Design, and then that's where they announced the Persona 4 Ultimax trailer. It was the final trailer shown before they went to the main show.
I mean, I'll be getting that.
Yeah, I really surprised that I know Microsoft said that they're done with the backwards compatibility, but like if you're not gonna put it on Xbox One, like why not even let them backwards compatible the 360 version? You know, weird.
I mean, it could have an issue where it would be harder for it to be backward compatible, or I mean, they may have just looked at the sales figures for like the game back in the day and go like the Xbox version didn't sell, so screw it.
Yeah, I mean it's just weird that Sony or Xbox does have a really good relationship with Sega, and you don't at least put it on Xbox One. I mean, I get why the other games are not on Xbox, like Shin Megami Tensei, Persona, all that. But it's like this one was on 360, so it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Um,
But I think Persona's having some big thing tomorrow about their anniversary, like more.
I mean, it's supposed
stuff.
to be throughout the year, so you may not get the biggest announcement tomorrow either. But it is cool that you're getting at least a game. It is a port. They didn't say anything about it being a remaster. So
No. I mean, yeah, it looked like a direct port, and
yeah,
it's coming to Switch and PC also, which is nice.
yeah, PS4, Switch, and PC, which that's good on March 17th. So there's that.
I mean, that game looked nice to begin with, so
Yeah, and then they did show off more of that Planet of Lana, which has a subtitle now. It's called Off Earth Odyssey. That was one of our favorite games from last year's Game Awards, I think. So cool that it got a little bit more shown off here. So yeah, like I said, he does mention that whole thing about the Activision Blizzard stuff, but he doesn't mention them by name, doesn't mention any other studios, and then he kind of shows off stuff from Ubisoft and that Star Wars one. We'll get into all that in a second. Best indie was also Key Bridge of Spirits, so that's good. A game that I really like and still playing. So, and I talked about that yesterday. So they showed off Hellblade 2 gameplay, which that looked great. And what did you think of the Star Wars thing?
I mean, they had so much Star Wars stuff at this thing. It kind of like I got overloaded at some point. This is the Eclipse one.
Right, this is the one that's supposed to be based on the High Rebel era, which it's the first one they've ever done. And supposedly, I was looking around, and apparently it's supposed to be a haven for stories about queers and other not necessarily like just of a straight nature. And it's weird because again, David Cage has gone on record saying really bad things about that, and then you're going to give his studio a game based in that era. So I don't know. Again, we're not thinking really, but
it'll be the main character is a droidosexual.
But like I thought that the characters looked interesting.
I have the gameplay looked fine, but I thought it was going to be like a KOTOR 3 actually.
Oh really? Okay.
Or even I was actually hoping more for Fallen Order 2. But then probably would have that dude show up at some, and it's like, oh, he's not popping up here, so I don't think so. It looked fine. Looks like a Star Wars game, I don't like the drummer guys though. They were really off-putting to me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Hellblade 2 trailer looked amazing. Xbox just really, I thought, nailed that supremely here. I think you got like everything you wanted out of a Hellblade trailer of just okay, I want more of that. After they did the tease a few years ago of just Hellblade with the cinematic, now you got that. And what did you think of what they showed?
I guess it looked good from a technical perspective, but I didn't play the first game. So, like, most of that trailer was kind of lost on me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you really needed to have played the first game to really get that. There was nothing directly from necessarily the first game to make you go, "Oh man,"
Wasn't the
you
main character
know.
the same?
Well, I mean, Senya's the same, but like not necessarily the enemy the big giant or whatever that you're seeing there, or um, I obviously that's supposed to be a metaphor for something. I'm sure once you actually get to the game, but it just looked amazing to me. Like I really thought like this is what you want next gen to look like,
Yeah,
and so finally like Xbox I feel like really has their first game that oh wow, it's taking advantage of the Series X and what it looks like, and all of that is in an engine. It's not a cinematic, so that's impressive. And supposedly, once you see like what they did with the Matrix thing, that you can go download the demo, which is on both Xbox and PS5, you'll be able to. I guess I've seen a lot of people say, well, they'll definitely be able to believe that Hellblade is that's the actual in-game graphics. But you could tell, like just the way it looks, that's definitely not like a cutscene. It's you can see her running, and you can see how that
yeah,
character does not very necessarily move very smoothly. That giant once he comes to the screen, but yeah, I just man, I'm really hyped now for when we finally get this Hellblade 2. I love the first game, and I'm very glad to see that they are handling the second game very well. So props to Microsoft and uh, Ninja Theory for that for doing that game a lot of justice on this one. One of the highlights for sure. We talked about Star Wars Eclipse. The other big announcement, I guess, in that same sort of vein is it's not even worth you playing a trailer because it's very short. The Wonder Woman game, which is apparently open world, and it's
that
being made by the same people that did the Shadow of Mordor games.
Monolith.
Yeah, Monolith. So
I mean, I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, she has a pretty good power set for that type of stuff. So yeah,
yeah,
they'll
I
just do a
mean,
reskin of Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
you think so?
I'm kind of curious because if it is Monolith, if they'll have like a Nemesis system, like those Lord of the Rings games had.
I mean, it would be the time to use it. You technically patented it, so nobody else could use it. So if you can't use
I'm
it in any other thing,
I just don't know. Well, I mean, one of the problems with the Wonder Woman property or like a game is like she doesn't have a great like enemy roster compared to like a Batman or even a Superman. Like her
yeah,
big enemy is Cheetah, and it's like this is a little lame.
fair enough. Yeah.
uh,
I,
so like as far as that like Nemesis system, like they could do it, but I don't see how. That's the issue. Like what would be who like what is she fighting or stuff like that.
yeah, I mean, yeah. Aside from Chitara, I mean,
And I'm
that's
also
the
I guess I'm also curious about uh how much of it will be like fantasy based versus how much will be like in the real world.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, they could do both,
Yeah, I'm
right?
sure it'll
So
be like the last game where they have like or Shadow War where they have like different zones. But I think that's kind of that game one of the game's problems is like compared to the first Shadow of Mordor, it felt very like disparate and like more constrained because you have like, these like independent zones. So I kind of hope they don't do that, but I mean, it probably make the game a lot easier to make.
fair enough. I mean, the first one that really, aside from Hellblade 2, I mean, that's one thing I think that hurts this necessarily is I think Jeff Keighley needs to do a better job of spacing out the big reveals because he does this with every single one of his shows. The opening night live had this thing as well. The
Oh,
where he packs that first hour full of stuff, and then the rest of it starts to drop off because he just like slams that first hour with stuff, and it's like space it out more so you don't have a bunch of kind of middling stuff in the middle or towards the end, and you have it all kind of more like, oh, okay, there is a reason to keep going and keep watching. Alan Wake 2 was awesome.
Speaking of that, how'd you like that opening Sting performance?
Oh, I just skipped that on purpose because I didn't. That was the one part was like, okay, I can just kind of keep working and wait till they actually, get to the part where it's not a performance. And it's fine. I didn't watch the Arcane thing, so I have no reference for that. Sting's fine. I love the Police, as a band, not necessarily Sting as a solo singer, but and then the other musical thing was awful. Imagine Dragons ruining that song. So I mean, that's the one thing I don't understand. Literally, Supergiant Games has so much great music. They could make their own orchestra and take it on the road. They could do a Final Fantasy, Zelda, insert here Kingdom Hearts, whatever. They could do that if they had the money and a backing of a big company like that. They could go and do their own orchestra thing. They have so much great music from all their games that they've made. Why do you need Imagine Dragons other than being able to say, "Oh my God, Imagine Dragons is on our show"?
I had no idea who they were.
You don't? Okay, you don't. Well, that's you. But most people know who Imagine Dragons are because they are blasted not only on the radio but in any store you go to. You probably hear them.
That's why I don't know who they are, because I don't listen to the radio and I always have an iPod with good music on.
That's fine, but yeah, I was just disappointed. In both of those, like I just feel like, again, it feels like this has been his thing, and you know what, I totally get him in a way. Like I think it's almost anybody's dream to be able to say, oh man, I'm gonna make video games look so cool with all these celebrities and like musical acts and like, oh my God, yes, like all these trailers, like this is gonna be the it thing for people to watch every year. And when it comes to games, like we're gonna get bigger than E3, we're gonna get bigger than Gamescom, we're gonna get bigger than all this because I have all these things in one place. Oh, and you can have all these people come to the theater or whatever and actually watch it there, and you have a crowd and all that stuff. Like I get that vision. Like that is something I think almost anybody that has like a big vision for an award show wants, but it's just, it doesn't work that way, especially when you're taking time out of a game show to promote movies and to promote musical acts. And it's like, understand your audience. You're not on TV. You're not on a big network.
It's a whole desperate grab for attention / I don't want to say renown, but like confirmation, status essentially, or
it almost feels like every time he does this, he makes this so that if a big network came in, let's say like, okay, let's say Paramount Plus wanted to take it one year and put it on their streaming service. Even though it's on a streaming service, they would probably still want it packaged for TV. This almost feels like he packages this for TV.
Well, he knows. I mean, he just follows up Spike Games award, formula. He doesn't take advantage of the fact that it's not on TV, so you have to follow this like a rigid ass formula, or like show these dumbass trailers that just put them on the YouTube channel. They'll do fine.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're all dumb. I just feel like the big reveals obviously have their place because they get people talking, but and you need that in a way because the awards are what they are. The games themselves should be the talking point, and I get that, and I am totally agree with that. But my more point is like, you don't need to bring so much of the other entertainment world into this to where it like overshadows everything, and then you're then
What?
placating to them.
You mean Ben Schwartz doing bad comedy for 4 minutes isn't worthwhile?
I mean, I'm fine with him coming, or well, then Jim Carrey having to take 2 minutes to do his comedy bit on video.
That was bad.
No, like that's
bad.
I mean,
awful.
and that's what I was getting at with Randy is like the whole reason why you have the trailers and you have the ads because they have to pay for the event. They have to get enough views in order for these advertisers to justify giving Jeff Keighley the money to do this because it's not on big TV or whatever. But I still would much rather you not have to have Sting and you not have to have Imagine Dragons ruin a great song. And you have to waste time doing that BS at the end with just like you did with Vin Diesel. I don't know how many years ago it was. With Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss from The Matrix. Like,
well, it's a whole desperation to be like part of the mainstream or to be acknowledged. It's the same thing WWE does. Right.
But at least he does it in a better way than WWE does, I feel like. But
I mean, you couldn't do it worse.
But no,
well, back to the trailers and other stuff.
Back to going to. I mean, I will say the Sonic movie trailer actually looked good. I liked it. Naya watched. It was the only part that I brought her out for because she's seen the first movie with me, and I was like, "Hey, look." She doesn't really know who they are, but I was like, "Look, it's Tails and there's Knuckles," and she's like, "Oh, that's cool. We got to see this. We got to see the second one." So like I feel it past that aspect of it being another good Sonic, probably going to be another good Sonic movie. And then of course having Idris Elba be Knuckles is awesomely already great. So you win on that one as well. So that's coming out April 8th. And, I'm sure that there will be a lot of people wanting to go see that at the theater. So there is that in a way, like, what, just wanted to reiterate that to put that on the screen there for people that watch later. Randy is very true. You do need that in order for, to save this. So, we got another big grab by Epic. The remake and intermission are going to be on Epic Game Store, much like Kingdom Hearts. Was exclusive to the Epic Game Store, probably another year exclusivity for Epic Game Store before it goes to Steam. Will it ever show up on Xbox? Who knows? Another one of those of will it show up on there? This is the one. Yeah.
I mean, yeah. This is Final Fantasy 7, right?
Yeah, the Final Fantasy. They do have Final Fantasy 7 on Xbox. They have Final Fantasy 15. They don't have 14. So, that is an exclusivity thing. But supposedly it was supposed to be a 1-year exclusivity, and then it was going to go to Xbox originally. So who knows if they just paid more money to make sure that it just never got made for Xbox or what the situation was. Yeah. Obviously now they have 16 exclusive as well. So. Well, if that ever comes out to why that decision was made or whatnot, we'll get to that. The one part that I did watch, I had to watch on mute because I had to make a lot of different calls at once, is so I missed the Game Pass for the PC Game Pass, which is really what it should have been called in the first place. Xbox Game Pass for PC was always way too long and convoluted. It should have been called PC Game Pass from the beginning. So good on them for changing it. I love the fact that they went on Twitter and then showed you how they changed it really quickly and easily. Like it wasn't some big to do. I don't really remember the games that are going to be on that. It wasn't the cinematic game that Devolver showed. I remember that being on there. The Trip to Yomi or whatever, the one that's like Ghost of Tsushima. That is one of the games that's going to be on Game Pass day one. And then I think it's like I can't remember the game. It's something to do with pigeons. That game is also on there. I don't want to go crazy looking for it right now, but this is where they kind of started doing the like interspersal, where they would have a bunch of trailers and then all of a sudden they'd show one game award. And this is another one of those where they did the game award for best action game, had the character that plays the main character in Shang-Chi, the actor that plays the main character in Shang-Chi come out.
That was very awful. That was worse than Ben Schwartz.
I mean, those things are always like when they do those at any kind of award show, they're not great. They're always weird.
It's always uncomfortable. But the guy like trying to like be funny or like checking his phone constantly. It's like no.
I mean, they
shut up and
he did
shut
the
up and read it.
Well, he was making the joke about Halo and him wanting to be playing that instead of being there, which is kind of a weird joke to make at that point.
I mean, if you don't have someone do that, someone do it like have someone do like improv or like a funny like.
Or well, like I think having like Phil Spencer come out and be the one that does that announcement, and him saying something like, "Oh, hey, I'd rather be out at home playing, Halo right now," and then coincidentally he announces a win for a PlayStation only game. Yeah. That's kind of funny in a way, right? In a gaming kind of funny. Props to Returnal for winning Best Action Game. I have not played it, probably will not play it. It is part of the, that's another thing too. Jeff Keighley doesn't make any kind of announcement like he normally does that there's a Game Awards sale on the consoles and on Steam. I mean, normally that's a big thing he makes about, and he doesn't do that.
There wasn't one.
There is one. I looked at it before we started.
For PSN?
It's right underneath the end of year deals thing. There's a Game Awards one.
Okay, I know the end of year. I know that one, but not the.
Yeah, the end of year one is a bunch of old games. It's not anything new.
Yeah.
The Game Awards one basically has everything that was on sale during the Black Friday except for Ratchet and Clank.
Yeah.
So if you were looking for anything that you missed on the Black Friday sale, I was kind of thinking about Ratchet and Clank, and then I was kind of disappointed that was the only game that was not on sale, and I was like, ah, man.
I got blown the hell out for these awards also.
Yeah. That's one we'll talk about here in a little bit. They showed the what's it called? Bote Studio, the creator of Silent Hill's new studio, showed off his game. That looked certainly creepy and weird. They win on that level. I don't know. What you think of?
I thought that song was terrible.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
I don't know. It looked fine. I mean, it's not something probably I'll play, but I don't. Yeah. I mean, Guillermo del Toro going like, "Oh, it's too bad you can't make another Silent Hill." It's like, yeah, you saying it's really going to entice Konami to sell it to you, huh? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, I think people need to.
I mean, also like. What's so damn special about Silent Hill?
Well, a lot of people have
memories, sure.
A connection,
but
yeah.
I mean, as a franchise, there aren't a ton of recognizable Silent Hill tropes out there,
right?
I mean, you can say the same thing about Resident Evil to an extent, but
Resident Evil is way more in the consciousness. It just had a movie come out.
Well, I mean, Resident Evil has zombies, but not even every Resident Evil has technically zombies in it. But it's just they're attached.
But Resident Evil has the characters that like Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield.
I mean, sure, but not I said, not every Resident Evil game has those. But I just meant
right.
People are so attached to the Silent Hill name. It's anything Silent Hill, but it's that. It was a franchise that had 4 games. I mean, it had more, but only 4 that really mattered. They were all on the PS2 or PS1, and they're not a ton of very definitive gameplay features aside from really goofy UFO endings in some of them.
No, yeah, you're right about that. I mean, it's. Just,
I mean, so the fact that this thing is called slitted heads or something like that.
Slitted heads, yeah.
Yeah, it's they're just calling it SH for the obvious reason for Silent Hill.
Mm-hmm. I mean, hoping people will kind of make the The comparison, I don't
Well, it's the
know
same
on
thing with
that.
Bloodstained
Yeah,
Ritual of the Night instead of Symphony of the Night. It's like,
right.
okay, we know what you're doing here. Uh, just move on, please.
I mean, I guess it works in a way. We'll see how it does with
I'll,
sales and all that.
also,
But
like the end of that thing reminded me of Deadly Premonition with like the woman, the old like woman on the balcony, like the monster receding back into her like body.
yeah, I mean, that might be one of those things where he thinks that's frightening, but perhaps when you actually play it, it does wind up more like the Premonition, where it winds up being more comical than actually scary. So,
Yeah, and
um,
yo, if they're making this game, where's the greasy haired guy from Walking
yeah,
Dead or the
I
Death
mean,
Stranding dude?
Norman Reedus.
Yeah,
Well, he's the Kojima's not the one making it, so he's not in there,
yet.
right? But yeah, so moving on from that, I mean, they did another musical number for the Cuphead, delicious, the last course, which has a release date now as well. So of what is it? June 30th, 2021 or 2022. We'll see if it hits that or if it gets delayed again.
Yeah,
Good to see more about Cuphead. Reminded me how good the soundtrack is for the first game that they showed that there. So you had that at least. They showed more of that Gollum game, which that is what it is.
he looks
Uh,
weird. Like,
I think that's the point that they try to make. Like, don't expect him to look like the Lord of the Rings Gollum. It's their own interpretation of it. So,
yeah,
um,
he just looks exactly and sounds a lot like Andy Serkis as well.
yeah. And then also I mean, they did try to get the voice right, it felt like, but yeah,
Yeah,
he did look kind of weird. They did show off some of Somerville again, which that game is one of the ones that I'm kind of really interested in as far as indie games go for next year. So I'm glad to see that it got some love there. And then of course they showed off Sonic Frontiers. So there is a little bit more about the new Sonic game, and it has a subtitle. Uh, any different feelings from the little snippet that we saw before? I mean,
that it showed no enemies.
well,
Or like
yeah, a little bit
no
of the
gameplay.
yeah, it's still cinematic, right? But
I mean, if it's going to be open world, that might be interesting, but I have very grave reservations that they can pull it off.
fair enough. I mean, 3D Sonic games are what they are at this point.
As good
It's
as Mario.
certainly on that level. Um, they did have Kojima come out to introduce Guillermo del Toro's movie, the first of several, another movie trailer that got shown on this thing. Only for Del Toro to be the one that's going to hand out the best art direction. Um, I will say that that's one thing I will give about having the celebrities. They do lend themselves to being good choices for
Well,
when you're
they're
going to
used to
present
it.
the award,
Yeah,
right?
they've been there before. I mean, they've dealt with that, so yeah, they're used to it.
I mean, Deathloop wins. This is the weird one for me that I thought if any of the ones that Psychonauts 2 was going to win, it would be Best Art Direction. It did not, and then it would go on to not win anything. So
I
Ratchet and Clank and Psychonauts 2 do not win a thing on this.
I actually don't like a lot of Psychonauts 2's like look or like the
Yeah,
worlds. I mean, even aside from like the weird teeth, the first teeth world, like that's creepy enough. But like most of the worlds I thought in Psychonauts 2 were like very generic, except for the one, the hippie guy or Jack Black.
right. Yeah.
Like that was a good one to me. But like the rest of them, like yeah, this is kind of more of the same, or
Yeah. I mean, I liked a lot of the worlds that I've gotten to experience Psychonauts 2, but
did
that's
you
just me.
Have you played
Yeah,
the alcoholic one?
I haven't gotten there yet.
That was the one that really kind of almost broke me because it's basically it's kind of the Sonic problem where like the entire level is basically like in water. So if you step off the
Okay.
platform, you die. And like there's like these like floating beer bottles that you kind of like ride, but the entire game or the entire level is like you know gray, and it's hard to find. Like it's hard to get to the fragments because like you're on these moving platforms constantly, and it's like this sucks.
Yeah, and Randy also had to go through disappointment as well that Resident Evil Village, the only thing that it won was best performance for the man,
Voice actress Lady
yeah, the voice
Dimitrescu.
actress for Lady Dimitrescu to win, and yeah, that's it. It did not win anything else. Didn't win any kind of award for actually like the gaming part of the game. So that's kind of disappointing for Capcom in a way. I mean, again, cool for that voice actress to win as she, told her story. Very similar to the one for Senua, where they kind of took a chance on her and she worked out. And same thing with, the Lady Dimitrescu voice
Yeah,
actress. Capcom kind of just took a chance on her and, she worked out for the best. And they used her as a vehicle for the making of a Lady Dimitrescu as well, with how tall she is and everything. This is where it kind of starts hitting the fan a little bit as far as the awards go. I was really upset that Best RPG once again just gets. I guess it's not cool enough for Jeff Keighley. It does not get any. It just gets. We're not even going to read the nominees. We're just going to tell you Tales of Arise won. All right, cool.
no, they read they did read the nominees. Or they showed them at least.
They showed them, but again, it's like if you're gonna be the Oscars, freaking be the Oscars, right? Like do the freaking reel where you go and show off the nominees, and then you say, "Well, okay, that one won," and you go on, right? Like,
I mean, some of those game demos or like videos lasted a long time. Like
yeah,
that Hellblade 2 thing was a tad
right.
long.
It was 6 minutes, yeah.
So I mean, maybe they were kind of pressed for time, but yeah, like some of the genre. I mean, he blew through all those like genre awards like
Yeah.
instantly.
I mean, it makes sense for some of the ones that like win multiple. Okay, you don't need to show that one, but it's just
No,
like,
yeah, like
yeah,
Deathloop won a few, and like the first time they got up there, like, oh, it also won for this one. It's like fine, because you don't need to have this guy come out like multiple times.
no, I mean, and Randy, I get it that the Oscars do that, but you know what? They have other things that they show at those awards that actually have to do with the actors, like an in memoriam and
Yeah,
other things that I can't think of because it's been a while since I watched the Oscars as well, the Emmys as well. Like their person that hosts has to actually like interject and bring up other
well,
presenters, and they have
that's the That's one
yeah,
problem is like Keeley is separated from the stage. He's
yeah.
like he's in like this balcony area, interacting with no one, and or like he may bring someone on to like talk to for like a minute or two, but that's about it. And
Yeah,
it's
and
like
it's just like the thing what I appreciate with the Oscars is score and music matter. They have somebody come out and do the music stuff for for all the songs that are nominated. Why can you not do that instead of having these musical acts that have nothing to do with any of the other songs and actually promote best score in music? Like that is an important part of a video game, whether you want to admit it or not. And I'm fine with Near Replicant winning. I mean, it has really good score and soundtrack. I mean, I still think Marvel's Guardians has the best of the ones that were there, but all of them were good. So it's not necessarily about a preference. It's just like score and music is important as well, and it's another category that gets written off every single year. I mean, you do that great medley for the Game of the Year thing. That's one of my favorite parts of the entire thing that they do every year. But it's like you could do it for the best score and music ones as well if you wanted to. You just don't. So and that's his deal because he wants to have these big name artists to get attention. And again, it's about getting attention. And I get that in a way, but I also think it's kind of it gets annoying after a while. Best multiplayer was It Takes Two. This all got rolled off one after the other. Best mobile game also got rolled off here as well. And what was it? And then they did best narrative really quickly as well. They did do a big much to do about this. Marvel's Guardians won. I love the one whoever did it. Hats off to you for doing the meme where it's the kid that's like to the side, kind of being like, "Oh, I told you so" or whatever. And they did that with I can't think of his name. Star-Lord, and have the other guys all around, all the other Guardians around doing the rest of the meme, which I thought was great. So hats off to the folks that did that and engineered that for Marvel Guardians winning the best narrative, which I know you're going to say is wrong. But
I mean, I would say like Tales has a better narrative, or even Resident Evil 8. I mean, it's
really,
not like
you thought Village had a better narrative than Guardians?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. You just hated the voice actors and all that other stuff. So.
Well, I saw something about like, oh, it's great. I was on Twitter about how it's great that all the characters are talking to each other constantly, and I'm like, no, it's not. They didn't even do that in the goddamn movies. Like,
well, it is a game. It's longer. I do appreciate that. It makes it feel like they all kind of jibber jab and are friends with each other. I appreciate that. And considering what happens at the end, maybe we should let. Imagine if Joseph Fares hosted the entire show. That would be insane. I get this is kind of where it starts to tail off a little bit as well, as far as like the announcements and things like that. They showed off another Saints Row trailer. I don't care about this game at all, so I just kind of tuned out there. I mean, I know you're a big Saints Row fan. I don't know if it's doing anything.
They showed
for
off
you.
more of like the city at least, which is nice because like that first trailer like looks like it took place all in the desert. I just think it's incredibly weird how they're like retconning the game, the Saints Row 4.
Mark, Randy says that you would rather read all the interactions one by one in text like Persona instead of have characters conversate with each other.
Yeah, because it wouldn't be talking. That would help.
Technically, they do talk in Persona as well. They just don't do it constantly. Like in Guardians. Best action adventure game went to Metroid Dread. Very good pick there. And
I don't know when this happened.
Yeah.
I mean, you're probably like reading off more of a timeline or like.
Yeah, I took notes of it. I took notes while I was working. So.
Are you baffled by Space Marine 2?
Yeah, I mean, first Space Marine was actually pretty decent, right? People liked that game. So,
sure, I liked it.
Yeah.
But it's like, wow, this is like a decade later. Like, and it's not like that first game sold
how many
well.
Warhammer games have they done? I mean, they did there's apparently another DLC for Vermintide, the Warrior's Priest or whatever, that also got shown during this. So, like, why not? They have, 20 Warhammer games going on at the same time? So, I guess why not?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like the first one because I played it on PC, and it was a little fucked up there, I thought, but as a concept it was fine. And yeah, sure, I don't think they said a developer though. I don't think like Relic's making this anymore.
No, I don't think Relic's making it. I can't remember who's making it. That was one of those things I had to put it on mute, and then I came back and they were just showing the guy holding the sword next to the other people, and I didn't catch that. For a weird game of the show, Dune Spice Wars, the 4X game, is apparently a thing.
I told Jens about that, and he was pretty interested. Because I told him they're making a Dune game. He's like, what is it, like an RTS? I'm like, well, it's close.
Yeah. And Randy is correct. It felt like everything's post-apocalyptic or space related. In most of the games that they showed, and again with the celebrity thing, the having to show more of Tiny Tina, but they had to bring Will Arnett out to talk.
Yeah, it's so awful. Both that game and their interaction. It's like, my God, please go away.
And if you don't know who the actress is, she is in Mythic Quest, the Apple TV series.
Well, no, she's also.
So,
I mean, she's always been Tiny Tina.
yeah, she's in Tiny Tina, but I'm saying
And,
if you, yeah,
she's also in she's in the first Life is Strange. I mean, she's been
yes,
around.
yeah, it's true.
Mm-hmm.
Genshin Impact did win. I think it's best. What is it? Best mobile game. Genshin Impact. So for them,
Saber Interactive is making the Space Marine too.
That's right.
So
that's right. Saber Interactive.
Yeesh.
Well, they did make. Didn't they have a hand in SnowRunner?
I mean, the Switch version.
Yeah.
They also had a hand in Battlegrounds.
That's very true as well. They have. I do think that they do have some games where they've done. Okay,
oh yeah, they're right.
Yeah.
They did do SnowRunner. I mean, they do occasional good work, but it's just like really like they're more of a port studio than making their own crap.
That Metal Hellsinger game, I got to give it up to them for having like all those artists in that game. Not my cup of tea at all, but
no,
cool.
It looked like a very generic Doom clone, also.
Yeah, they just kind of rattled off a bunch of different trailers all at once. They showed something for Crossfire X. The GTFO game randomly got shown, and now it's apparently out now.
Well, it left early access because it's been out for a while.
Yeah. This is where they showed the Halo TV teaser, which
I like the main actress, and I like that dude a lot, so I'll watch that. I'm pretty middle on Halo, honestly, but yeah.
I mean, it's fine. Like, I got a little hyped. I thought they would show more. And it kind of felt like another teaser, and it's just like, man, all right, we didn't really show too much here, but
yeah,
there's something at least, and I kind of can't really complain about that, but I did want to be like, oh man, I thought we are going to get something that really told us about the story, and we didn't get that,
Yeah.
And then, yeah, he did the bit with the Elden Ring pot, and they showed an Elden Ring trailer. And I will say, look, I know that's the opening cinematic, but I will say, like, I don't really care anything about Dark Souls, whatever, but the Elden Ring stuff has looked really good. So there's that at least. And then this is where they rolled off a bunch of other awards all at once. Best Direction, Deathloop. Best Family Game, It Takes Two. It was a family game for me. I played it with my daughter, but I don't know if Tony even played it with their kids.
That's really not surprising. I mean, yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's really a family necessarily game because you're playing with one other person. So if that's, you can't really include too many people in that. It's only two as opposed to like Mario. You can really include like a whole family or a bunch of group of friends, or so. There is that to be said for it. Guilty Gear Strive won Best Fighting Game as if there was anything else. Age of Empires 4 won Best Strategy Game, also as if there was really anything else that was going to win.
That actually kind of surprised me a little. I was kind of expecting Flight Simulator.
Yeah, but man,
I mean, we talked about how that was a weird category for that game.
That's a stretch for that category. Like,
but I mean, the category was like simulator or strategy game, which is already like fucked up. But
yeah,
I would have. I mean, personally, I would have probably put simulator on there.
I'll agree with you there on simulator being a better game, and then RE4, the VR game. So you did get one Resident Evil, the actual game winning, but it not Village, just
the best one.
Yeah, and then of course, Randy alluded to it already. It Takes Two wins Game of the Year, which that's surprising. Big time surprise, I think, based off of all the other games. So yeah, I mean, Joseph Fares gets a huge win. He gets to be the last man on stage and everything else. No trailer at the end to like do one more thing.
I saw some people like, or one of the rumors that they were going to announce Bioshock 4, and
Yeah.
it's going to be like in Antarctica and all this other crap. And I was like, well, that obviously happened.
Randy already revealed his game of the year. He said it's It Takes Two as well. So interesting stuff for us to discuss when we get to that. But certainly, I mean, It Takes Two deserves it. I don't have a problem with It Takes Two. Like I said, the parts that I have played with and I've really enjoyed, and there's parts that I've seen beyond that. It's a really great game and a very interesting premise for them to explore on that end. And Joseph Fares just keeps doing great things with that studio, even if they can't get the trademark from Take Two. So, I mean, do you feel like there was anything that was like totally snubbed, or
I mean, not really. I don't think. I mean, I personally don't think It Takes Two is game of the year. So we can have that debate later on. Like there are
right?
3 other games I'd put up there higher.
Yeah,
Even on that list. So yeah, we'll see.
that was the sentiment I saw. I saw a lot of people that were kind of happy that finally It Takes Two breaks the glass ceiling for indie games, even though
What, as opposed to Hades?
but didn't Last of Us 2 wind up winning Game of the Year last year, and then Hades won like everything else
Yeah,
for the
that's
Game
because people were
Awards?
like gobsmacked by this how Last of Us 2 looked when they didn't actually look at the gameplay at all and realize it sucked.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying though. Like it broke the glass ceiling as far as actually winning Game of the Year, which kind of sucks that it had to be an EA backed, like a big studio backed indie game, and not something like Hades that is from a smaller studio that you could really say is more indie, But still cool that it's I guess EA's indie label that wins the first big game of the year, and so we'll have our own debate as far as a game of the year when it comes down to that. But that's the thing is like we're talking about the awards because we care about them, but this show was really not about that. And I really feel like aside from that first hour, it drops off a lot after that, and you had a lot more ads taking up time. You had a lot more just kind of middling stuff taking up time, and I kind of like it. It all became like a 3-hour blur at
There were
one
a
point.
lot of games that were like co-op focused
Well,
that
that's been a trend for a while. Yeah.
bored the hell out of me, like Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I guess. Or that Payday 2 like horror game. Or what, that was GTFO, wasn't it?
That was the Arc Raiders game, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's like, oh man, it's a yeesh.
Yeah. But that's been a trend for a little bit of going back to the co-op focus. But there was a lot of post-apocalyptic, a lot of
Or
shooters.
that Nightingale thing.
The Nightingale thing. Well, the Nightingale thing was okay, I guess. I don't know. It's not going to be my cup of tea because it's like team multiplayer and then very PC focused. So you know what it is. I really love the fact that they're going to go full hand with Alan Wake 2 and it's survival horror. I really want to see what that's going to look like when we get down to that. But yeah, I mean, I think a lot of my things that I'm excited about, Alan Wake 2, I guess sort of the Wonder Woman game. I want to see what that Star Wars Eclipse game is going to wind up being. But it's weird. Nintendo, all they did was do like sizzle reels. They didn't announce anything.
Oh yeah, because they always have the directs.
No, but Nintendo always has some big announcement. Like Bayonetta 3 was technically announced at the Game Awards. I mean, they always have something that they show. And it's kind of weird that they just had nothing here.
They should have announced another Smash Brothers season pass.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. They couldn't do Smash. That Smash is always the one thing, right? That they
and then just go back to Sakurai's video camera. He's just hanging himself in his office.
I mean, it's crazy. Sakurai had to come out and be like, people should not expect another Smash Ultimate again, and really shouldn't expect that there's always going to be another Smash because he
I
said,
mean,
I don't know who's.
they could have at
Yeah.
least shown like an Odyssey 2 trailer or like whatever whatever Mario game they're making next.
Did Sony even show something either from one of their
Horizon?
Oh yeah, Horizon. That's right. Yeah, they showed Horizon. Okay. Which that looked really good as well. This Horizon just keeps looking better and better every time they
I mean, this
show
is
it.
more. This was.
Yeah.
I mean, except for like Hellblade, like Microsoft didn't show much.
No, they didn't. But Hellblade was their one big thing. Like they didn't have to show off a bunch of things. Like Hellblade's the one that I think people really wanted to see. Maybe aside from, I don't think they were going to have Avowed because you already have Elden Ring. So they're too similar, you know.
Oh, that Final Fantasy looking thing, concise or whatever hell that game is. With the real woman being transported to a fantasy realm.
Which one is that?
She shows up and like she gets transported to like the fantasy world, but she's like a real woman, or like she's like a person from like the real world, and she's like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Oh yeah,
That's
the one that kept
game.
going, but that's Forspoken, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, Square Enix showed off that Forspoken. That one's gonna be $70 on PS5, so get ready. And if it's already on, you can pre-order right now if you want to. I'm excited for that game. It's just I'm not gonna pay $70 for it. Randy calls it AK Allison W2F land, which is very true. Because there's dragons and there's other things in that world, and she has weird powers where she can like jump up on looks like clouds or whatever, and yeah, lots of weird stuff going on there. Sony at least did get Returnal winning. They got Kena winning. I guess Deathloop technically counts since it's PlayStation exclusive right now. It will show up on Xbox at some point.
Halo also won the fan thing.
Halo won the fan thing. Forza won 3 awards: audio design, best sports game, and best whatchamacallit? Something they won best something else, and I can't remember what it is right this minute. Final Fantasy 14 won best ongoing and best community support. So that's good. If there's one game that should win best ongoing game, it should be damn Final Fantasy 14 with their expansions and not Fortnite putting out a new chapter with just getting the next license thing that they can get into the damn game. So it's still crazy to me that you have God of War, Master Chief, Batman, and Spider-Man all in the same game. But you know,
I was more blown away when they showed Genshin Impact, and I was like, "Wait, this is an actual game."
yes, Genshin Impact is an actual game.
I thought it was like a slot machine or something like that.
No, it's a game. Yeah.
What do you think of that Steel Rising or Steel Rising?
Still Rising? I thought it fine.
I kept flashing back to that one Doctor Who episode with the clockwork robots.
Yeah.
I was like, this is a little too creepy for me.
Arc Raiders kind of gave me a weird like District 9 sort of vibe of like we're just killing these massive robots or massive things. All right, cool. You know.
Yeah.
It could be interesting. Let's see what happens with that. You know, there was some cool announcements here, but that's the thing is like we're talking about everything but the awards, and I really hope that at some point this show can become more awards focused, whether it is making it a 2-night deal, whether it is the free show becomes your thing where you show all the trailers and then you do the proper awards show during the actual main show. Who knows if we ever get that right. I will say that if you wanted to make the comparison, this one, I think of all the other ones that he's done, felt more like an actual like awards show that you could have watched on TV. Other than obviously none of those award shows have trailers for the shows that are coming out next year or the movies that are coming out next year. But
I mean, you
you
should look up
had
like an old Euphoria, like, 'cause I'm sure that's all online. Like this seemed like that was like at least time constrained by 2 hours.
right.
This thing went on.
Well, I mean that's been his thing ever since he took it away from Spike and made it into his thing that he does it only online. Is that he wants to make it like the Oscars where it's like 3 hours and it's this major big gaming event that you're going to look forward to for the entire year, like you do E3, like you do everything else.
Apparently, he's
Um,
not clued into how the Oscars and Academy Awards do, like, ratings wise over the past decade or two. Like,
I mean, that's the thing, right? Is yeah, their ratings have been going down and down for those shows because number one, they're too long, and
I, I mean,
yeah,
because I think you're more positive on the show than I am.
right.
What would you rather have, this show or a half-hour show where it's just him on a screen, on a stage going, this is nominations and this is what won, and that's it.
I definitely it needs to be cut down. It needs to be cut down to at least 2 hours. I really do think that it is overblown. It is too long, and because of that, it always lulls really badly, and it gets to the point where it's just like you get to that last hour and you're like, oh my god, please end. It's almost like watching an episode of Raw. It's like you get to that third hour and you're like, oh my god, there's another hour left. And but
And
then you, yeah,
just like Raw went over the time limit also.
yeah, it went over the time limit just like Raw does. I mean, it's like the only thing that's holding you there is you have the main event. Oh, you have Game of the Year that has to get announced at the end. So it's like you have to keep watching it. But it's just, oh man, I had to sit through another hour of ads, and even if they did have Jeff Goldblum trying to get me to go play Riot
that
Shadow Storm or
that
whatever.
that other one, the Fuse guy talking about that mech game, was just embarrassing.
That was terrible. Yeah, it's just God. But no, I think he really needs to I don't know if he's ever going to be able to fix that necessarily, because the more announcements and things you have, the more you have to find some way to pay for them.
Yeah.
Right. So the bigger the announcements he gets, like he did this year.
He just cut out the awards like he's been doing,
Yeah, you cut out the awards and then you gotta find a place for all this other stuff. And it's like, I do appreciate again that he's trying to get bigger and bigger game announcements. So it's not like this one big announcement that he has and then a bunch of indie stuff that doesn't necessarily float everybody's boat or whatever. But man, he really needs to cut down the time on this thing. It's too long. And I don't know how you want to do it, but please, like, a little bit more focus on the awards and letting the developers actually feel like they are being compensated and congratulated and awarded for the work they have done throughout that year, not on hyping stuff that hasn't come out yet and may not even come out that year or may not come out till after your awards next year. So all these games that you're seeing, people may have to watch trailers for them again next year. It's like, yeah, I get it. He doesn't like E3 and he wants to compete with E3 in a way as well. And that's fine. But yeah, this is still not the award show that I would say, oh man, this is really it. This is the award show that you want it to be, and be proud of saying this is the Game Awards. I don't think that we're still not there yet. This still feels like a show put on by a guy that really just wants to have like all these different forms of entertainment really appreciate video games, and that's cool too. It can exist, but I really do think that maybe having something a bit more scaled down like the BAFTAs or GDC and actually airing it where people can watch it, not, oh, it's just this event that happened and we find out who won. I still think that it would be nice to have something like that as well.
Yeah.
And Randy wants you to note that Marc, he was actually promoting charity. So
I know,
yeah.
but it's like that thing looked like the most like mobile. I don't know if it's on
Yes.
PC or what, but it's
Yeah.
like this game looks terrible, and it's like if you want to promote,
what does it say, Marc, that everything in their mother got outside of like PlayStation Now, because obviously they're rethinking that. So maybe you don't want to promote it right now because you're trying to get people to think about this new thing that you're doing. But it's like everything got an ad except for Google Stadia. Like they
that
promoted
doesn't exist anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like maybe that means the Google Stadia is actually finally dead now because they promoted that Google Play Plus thing coming to PC, and they promoted the Google Play Plus thing like 3 or 4 times.
And there's like the Amazon Luna one.
Yeah, the Amazon Luna got like 2 or 3. The Prime Gaming got like 2 or 3 or whatever. It's like, man, did you guys just absolutely completely drop Stadia? They want people to forget the Stadia exists because my God, it's not even promoting it. And I have tried that Google Play Plus thing on my phone. I think it's fine, and actually for like I think it's like $5 a month. Well, they do a deal like I think it's like $5 a month for, or no, for $2 a month for 3 months. You can like try out everything on there until you get like Apple Arcade quality stuff on there. I don't know that it's really that great, but we'll see. Maybe they do that. I do think the putting those games on PC is interesting because not everybody likes to play things on their phone. I'm certainly not one that likes to really. Other than yeah,
I was gonna say that's what Windows 11 kind of does because it has an Android emulator.
Right. So yeah, that's our thoughts on the Game Awards. Thank you, Randy, for joining us here in the chat and making some jokes and some lively moments here for us. And hopefully you guys can do that as well. You can always hit us up on Twitter at WTMSean, at Humanity Plague. Randy is at Randy Isbell if you want to go pester him a little bit. And go check out Randy's R&R Sports Report, which right now they're kind of doing it on whatever day they can. I think he did say they're kind of doing Wednesdays for the next, at least this week coming up. And then go listen to our other show or watch our other show. It did have Randy on it. Again, we mentioned some of these games that are on the Game Awards and where we kind of are with them. And then, we talked about the Halo campaign and stuff like that. So we'll be back probably Monday for our regular show again. I just wanted, since I could actually watch most of it because I have been working from home today. I was like, why don't we just go ahead and do this tonight?
Aren't you glad you got in that car accident now?
No, I'm not. Oh, no.
It's all part of your master plan to watch a shitty Game Awards show.
I wonder if my boss thinks that it's some kind of part of my master plan for me to but no, I'm still scared to death that I'm going to have somebody knock on my door and give me a ticket. And then that tells me that they blame me for the accident. I'm really hoping that it does not happen. So I can get that car fixed. Because if not, that thing's going to have to go to the junkyard. But, and then I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do. But either way, we'll definitely have another show. I'm going to have the soccer show tomorrow with Eric Watkins. So
you forgot the biggest thing, that you can get pizza in Final Fantasy 14.
That is cool. That is cool that Final Fantasy 14 has gotten big enough that they have a deal with Grubhub, even though it's the lesser of the 4 services that are kind of out there, the big 4 name services. But still, okay. I mean, maybe Grubhub's bigger in other places, but at least here in Miami where I live, like there's nothing really on it.
What do you have, Uber Eats or DoorDash?
I mean, Uber Eats and DoorDash are much bigger. I don't know about... I have the Uber Eats Pass thing.
Okay.
Which does help save me some money. So I do appreciate that. I don't know about you guys where Randy lives or where you live, Marc. Which ones has
they're all split apart,
them?
like pretty evenly actually.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah, it's usually Uber Eats and DoorDash competing for getting new things all the time. But anyway, we've gone off on tangents. Listen where you can, rate and review if you can as well. That we appreciate 5 stars or wherever you think we deserve on that end. Go play that Matrix thing. I think it's like 10 minutes long, and you can go see what the next gen looks like, I guess. And we'll be back. More thoughts on the Halo campaign. More thoughts on me about Kina as far as I get on that, and then whatever Marcus is playing, and whatever else is going on, even though I'm sure it'll still be a lot of fallout from the Game Awards. Until then, everybody, we'll see you all later.
Later.